What misinformation seems to never die? Half of the quotes attributed to Gandhi, Dr. Seuss, Oscar Wilde, and Ben Franklin.
Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Abraham Lincoln.
That if you shave any hair on your body, it grows back thicker and darker.
I learned this the hard way. I'm a guy with not so thick beard. My father, who is medic, always told me to shave often so my beard would get thicker. After years and years and years trying, one day I started suspecting this was false. A quick Google search confirmed, to my disappointment. So now I simply don't shave at all anymore.
Lightning never strikes twice in the same place. In fact, it does, and with great regularity. Thus, the need for lighting rods in some lightning-prone locations. That you can detox, cleanse your body with certain drinks or pills.
But also the idea that you need detoxing. Nup. You got an elegant filtration system and an elegant enzyme system that do that job, among others.
1. That bulls get angered by the color red. They are colorblind, so it really makes no difference. It's the waving of the cape that gets to them. 2. Bats are blind. This simply isn't true either. Bats have almost as good eyesight as humans, and some larger bats have eyesight almost 3x as good as that of a human. 3. Nails and hair of a person continue to grow after death. The skin retracts as it becomes dehydrated after death. The nails and hair do not grow, they just appear longer.
That MSG is bad for you. It's literally a naturally occurring amino acid in certain green plant life that utilized photosynthesis, with normal salt used as a binding agent. The myth came from a single person writing to a newspaper back in the 70s, I believe, where he ended up with a headache after visiting a Chinese restaurant, and the only ingredient in the dish he had that he didn't recognize was monosodium glutamate. And because people are stupid and it sounds scary, he blamed it on that. And it led to a bunch of people reporting similar anecdotal stories that led to the myth of it being bad for you. There have been dozens of studies confirming that it's perfectly safe and doesn't cause headaches or any other known ailments.
Pizza is basically a collection of all the naturally occurring MSG ingredients. That's why it's awesome.
The theory of alpha wolves. The person who proposed it did so back in the 70s with a book he wrote and has since sought to correct the mistakes made. He even has tried several times to get his publisher to stop publishing the old book because of the misinformation from it. There is no contest of superiority, the wolves that have more authority are merely the parents of the other wolves.
People on the internet really seem to buy into the idea that elephants find humans cute. The source of this is a Tumblr post that claims the same region of the brain that's active when humans see puppies is what lights up when elephants see us. But that requires MRI machines big enough to accommodate elephants, as well as keeping an animal that weighs like 5 tons still whilst it's fully conscious. It also means assuming that the brain structures do the same job across species. If anything, the harsh reality is that wild elephants probably see humans as threats, given that as a species we're actively doing our best to kill them. Elephants who live in zoos or sanctuaries may be endeared to their keepers and thus humans in general, however. The good news is that this can probably change if poaching is ever stopped. Elephants who'd been raised in the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, for example, have led sick or injured herd mates back to the sanctuary for treatment.
An average person swallows around 7 to 8 spiders in their sleep.
I like this one. It implies that A, most people sleep with their mouth open, and B, that spiders are that dumb to just walk into someone's mouth. That's 3 lies in one sentence.
That cracking your knuckles gives you arthritis.
Cracked my knuckles as I read this, and it was extra satisfying.
That humans will eventually evolve to lose the little toe as we don't use it. No, that's not how evolution works. Unless at some point in the future not having one increases our chances of reproducing, the little toe is not going anywhere. Also regarding evolution, we didn't exactly evolve from monkeys, it's more like monkeys and us share a common ancestor, but then we split into different evolution branches. Edit: I changed the word ape for monkey, as it is more correct to express what I meant.
The woman who sued McDonald's did not do so because her coffee was hot. If you look into her story, they badly fucked up the preparation of her coffee and she suffered permanent and catastrophic injuries. It's deeply frustrating whenever it's brought up as an example of overly litigious society.
There's a reason that people bring at us as a joke about how litigious America is, because McDonald's ran a very well-funded and successful smear campaign against the her. It wasn't by accident that every newspaper and local news station in the country ran this story as a joke.
That cops in the US can't lie to you, or have to tell you they're cops if asked.
That misinformation was a little trick made up by cops.
That cows and horses sleep standing up.
The food pyramid. Most USDA nutrition is horribly wrong.
I think this one actually is dead. I haven't seen a food pyramid in many years.
Flat Earth.
It boggles my mind how people genuinely think the Earth is flat. Even if you could somehow convince all government officials to lie about something along with the countless number of pilots, aviators, and the personnel needed to man this endless ice wall. What purpose would it serve? How does the government benefit at all from telling everybody that the world is flat?
The customer is always right. Going out with wet hair / after showing or not wearing a jacket in the cold makes you sick / catch a cold.
Yes. I'm a triage nurse, and when parents bring their kids to emergency for a cough, I could rant about that for hours on its own. And I ask if anyone else in the family is sick. I get, no, but she was playing in a puddle yesterday and now she has a cough. No amount of proof can convince them that people catch colds in bad weather because they are all stuck inside breathing on each other. That flying cars is the future. Just imagine what destruction one drunk driver could do if they flew into a hospital or something like that. Vaccines cause autism.
How in hell are we still talking about that one?
That you can lose fat in specific places.
I remember that was the big advice in the 80s. So manufacturers took fat out of food and replaced it with sugar to make up for the flavor and, surprise, obesity rates went up.
Stuff about Jews seems to have a really long shelf life. It seems like there's been someone saying weird stuff about Jews for millennia.
While NASA spent millions on developing a pen that could write in space, the Soviets just used pencils. I hate this one. I'm not even good at science and I still paid attention enough in chemistry and physics to tell you that a pencil is a dangerous thing in such a high oxygen environment. Let's comb our hair while in a medical isolation chamber while we're at it.
Not sure if people still widely believe this, but the idea that your blood is blue before it is exposed to oxygen. I had an argument with my sister about this a while back, and she was really convinced that blood was blue.
Lots of people genuinely believe that the age of 30 was considered to be old during the Middle Ages. That's simply not true. It was, roughly, the average life expectancy because the infant mortality rate was so high. If you survived past infancy, you could reasonably expect to live to see your 60s or even your 70s, though they couldn't be as hopeful about that as they would be if they were born today, of course.
Nuclear waste production is dangerous and bad for the environment. In reality, coal ash is far more toxic, carcinogenic, and is carelessly disposed of in landfills, and the pollution prematurely kill millions. The needs of each person only creates nuclear waste about the size of a brick. Of that, most is low-level waste. The high-level waste is only 5 grams of that. The weight of a piece of paper. Meanwhile, it is responsibly contained and stored away from people and the environment for both. It is usually underground in cement-lined barrels to naturally decay over an extended period of time, often with other techniques of storage. Only 3 cubic meters of high-level waste is produced for the energy of 1 million people for a year. Coal power to supply the same need would produce 300,000 tons of ash to be dumped in a landfill, and 6 million tons of CO2 and other toxic pollutants.
What is another belief that seems to never die? Write a comment and subscribe to see more content like this.